If I may now ask Mr. Dukong Tuntunkoyo, who works to strengthen agricultural food value chains and empower farming communities. His mission is to advance sustainable agriculture and nutritional security. Thank you for being with us today.
So I'm glad to be here today with you all. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of this session. I'm equally happy to listen from a senior colleague, Mario, that has just presented in line with what I'm going to do here today. So I'll just move straight to my presentation. As you see my screen, I'll be talking on building resilient food system through micro, small, and medium enterprise, lessons from worldwide school feeding, agriculture, and rural livelihood programs. So we'll be looking at some key definitions So we'll start by some definition on food security. Like you say, it exists when all people at all times have physical access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food. So this is from the FAO 2006 definition. And food security, this concept is understood through the 4 key dimensions of food availability: access, utilization, and stability. We look at food system, which comprises the entire set of actors, activities, and processes involved in the production, aggregation, processing, distribution, consumption, and disposal of food product, as well as broader economic, social, and environmental context in which these activities are embedded. So that's how we look at food system. And in contrast, we look at food insecurity, which refers to the situation where individuals or households lack consistent access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food. So we'll look at the core of the problem. We look at the front of my screen. This is showing. Having a challenge.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Horizon 2026, the Global MSME Summit in Awards, a platform built to accelerate MSME transformation.
Can you see my screen, please? Yes. Okay. You look at the core problem, the fragmented. Okay, the fragmented value chain, which you look at the smallholder farmers are trapped, operate in micro enterprise facing erratic market demands, structural liquidity constraints, and high transaction costs. We equally see the problem of post-harvest loss, which up to 40% of nutrient-rich food is lost before reaching the local market due to weak storage and broken logistics. We equally look at the nutrition gap. We look at institutional nutrient programs frequently rely on volatile imported commodities rather than on stable, localized agricultural system. Now we now look at some agri-food systems, facts and figures, which I would just like to bring your attention to. Which you see agri-food system generate hidden costs more than 10 trillion per year in health, hidden in health, environmental and social costs. So you see that what food system is able to generate as a hidden cost. You look at agri-food system, agri-food sustains economies. You see more than 1 billion people are employed globally in the agri-food sector. So agri-food system are one of the world's most powerful engines of economic growth. And you look at agri-food sustains youth potential. You see over 680 billion potential increase in global GDP through greater youth engagement in agri-food system. We equally look at agri-food sustains gender equality. You see 36% of working women globally engage in agri-food system. You see in sub-Saharan Africa how 66% of working women are employed in agri-food system, and equally see in the Southern Asia where 71% of women working are employed in agri-food system. Now we will now look about the global context as far as food security is concerned. You see over 700 million people face hunger globally. You see it's further hindered by climate shocks, conflict, economic instability that affects food system. So you see how micro, small, medium enterprises play a critical role in food production, processing and distribution. Now we now see, why do these enterprises matter? They account for most agribusiness enterprises in developing country. You see in Cameroon and other countries, they play a greater role when it comes to agribusiness. And you see they generate a lot of employment and incomes for households. They support local value chains and local and rural economies. They enhance food availability and market access. Then I would like to bring your attention to school feeding as a food system intervention which improves nutrition, education outcome, create stable demand for local food, link schools with farmers and cooperatives, and support local economic development. As a food development consultant in food security, you see I'm equally engaged in aspects of food security at the level of Cameroon, where we work closely with cooperatives, linking schools to see how they provide locally sourced nutrients to schools. So we equally see how homegrown school feeding models. We look at local procurement from smallholder farmers. We see nutritious meals for school children, strengthen agricultural market. As you see with the school feeding program, when the farmers are linked to school, it creates markets, predictable market for their product. It improves on their livelihood and resilience, income, and food security at the level of the household. So you equally see lessons and evidence from Africa, Europe, Asia indicates that school feeding supports attendance and retention, increase market opportunities for farmers, reduce both harvest losses, strengthen farmer organization. Through the homegrown school feeding program, we see how cooperatives are empowered, are trained on leadership, on bookkeeping, on record keeping. This equally positions them for when development partners come for contracts, and equally leads to higher agricultural income, stronger value chains. Now, we now see small and medium, because here in Cameroon, we usually call it small and medium-sized enterprises. So we see the nutritive sensitive agriculture, because they're equally involved in food processing and fortification. They're equally involved in storage and logistics services. They're equally involved in digital and agricultural solution and nutrition-focused enterprises. With all of this, they are mostly identified, linked with schools where they do a good number of these supplies to schools. And these go a long way to improve on their incomes and create a market where they sell their products. And they equally face challenges. These enterprises, they have limited access to finance. They equally have weak infrastructure. They equally face the problem of climate risks, market volatility when it comes to price, and we have regulatory constraints. We often discuss about food security at the macro level, but real resilience is built at the micro level. Smallholder farmers are fundamentally agricultural micro enterprises. Without a predictable structural demand, they cannot safely invest in productivity and through enhancing technology. So which means that we usually focus on the micro level, not seeing them as contributors to food system transformation. Then we look at investment opportunities. We see agricultural value chains. We have school feeding supply system, digital agriculture, rural finance, and agri-finance, women and youth-led enterprise. You could see some of the pictures, some of the school feeding program we are involved in, some of the small and medium-sized enterprises we work closely with. Then we equally see women and youth in food system. You see women are dominating food production and trade. You see youth drive innovation and entrepreneurship. Inclusive financing is essential. Then you now move policy recommendations, which will have to do with strengthen local procurement policies, expand school feeding program, improve access to finance, invest in rural infrastructure, promote public-private partnerships. Like the fourth recommendation that has to do with infrastructure, we see a good number of these small and medium-sized face a lot of challenge when it comes to infrastructure. In terms of poor road networks, they produce, they don't have way to store, to keep them, it becomes challenging for them. So just to come to conclusion, I'll say government and development partners must dedicate a minimum of 25% of supply chains contract to women-owned entities. Invest in technical literacy. Deploy target-driven training programs on AI tools, automated bookkeeping, and cross-border digital logistics. These enterprises are central in building resilience, inclusive and sustainable food system. Strategic investment in agriculture, nutrition, and local value chains can transform rural livelihood and strengthen food security. Thank you so much for your attention. And just to end up to say that, let us not leave the Horizon 2026. Let's leave the Horizon 2016 with a clear direction. True structural transformation happens when we systematically remove the barriers holding women back by funding their enterprises, expanding their digital capabilities, and guaranteeing their market access. We don't just optimize trade, we fortify global economic resilience. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think so much of it is about beginning at, the earliest stage where you're talking about school feeding, no? Because children who eat better learn better. And I think there's a whole cycle that goes with it, which ultimately I think will go on with also getting inclusive financial, skills involved as well. So thank you so much for your time. It was very well spoken. Thank you.
Thank you.